are listening to Rouge Radio, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
It's time to get the point as Rouge Radio is ready to kick off.
Ready!
The best football talk with the best in the business.
So what is the cost? You have 2 first-round picks this year because the Argos are dumb enough to trade for Drew Willie.
A few rookies.
We go directly to the on-field product. We welcome to the show the 20th overall pick in this past Sunday's CFL draft, DeAndre Wright of the Alouettes. DeAndre, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
And the occasional Hall of Famer.
Please welcome Doug Brown, who is one of the members of the current class of 2016 in the CFL Hall of Fame. Doug, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you guys for the kind words and for having me on the program.
Rouge Radio is on the air. Here's your hosts, Robert Dalton and Tony Allen.
Rouge Radio is powered by the Canadian Football Podcast Network. This is episode 539, again powered by the Canadian Football Podcast Network, sponsored by the good people over at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, enter the promo code Rouge, you get 20% off your order, plus free worldwide shipping. Go to Manscaped. Your balls, oh, they will thank you. Gentlemen, let's get to this week's Rouge Radio podcast.
Man, Irv, you really need to work on your booth announcing. We're going to have to go another route for that one. Yes, it is the Rouge Radio podcast. My name is Robert Dalton, and joining me, as always, Mr. Tony Allen, and we're doing this on a Thursday. I think we talked about that, like when we do the shows, like when we record in the afternoon, it has a little bit of a vibe. Does Thursday nights have a different vibe than our normal recording?
I don't know. I think it has a bit of a you look tired kind of vibe. We're past the midday board of the week. Yeah. We've already put in more than half a week, so I think maybe we're just a little powered down. Maybe not. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah. I mean, it's if you're a sports fan, like this month is like just your I don't know, your heaven. You've got hockey starting, baseball playoffs. How about your Jays? I even got into the Jays, the Jays fever. Trey Savage. My favorite is actually making fun of the Yankee fans online who were very confident that one game that they won in Game 3 that was over for the Jays. Yeah. And then Vladdy the daddy, the Yankees daddy, just comes out and just no momentum changer. We don't want to talk too much about that, but there was a huge signing in Edmonton this week. Mm-hmm. The biggest signing in Edmonton, and now we're not talking about Connor McDavid, running back for the Edmonton Elks, Justin Rankin. And I say this has been the biggest one because I think if Justin Rankin was left as a free agent, he would have gotten paid.
Oh yeah.
I'd have to take a quick look, but your thoughts on that one, just while I'm kind of Googling his stats, because the stats seem to be unreal right now.
Oh, he certainly, I mean, we kind of touched on it last week too, that he is definitely one of those players that I think, Edmonton needs to latch on to now. You need to lock him up. He's, whatever, through the 2025 season or whatever, but he looks good right now. He has that potential, and, he could be a game breaker today or this weekend. He could be a game breaker through the season. So it was definitely one of those moves that I think Edmonton had to make, or he was gone.
Justin Rankin's at 6 in the CFL on their total yardage, which is not bad considering that he's also a receiver too in that offense. And when he has the ball, it is almost like a game changer. Mm-hmm. I know that we deal with most outstanding player, and if I had a vote, he'd have mine. But when you're looking at it, we really need to maybe add a MVP, because I think that offense, that team goes through Justin Rankin on top of almost 1,000 yards, and he's got 3 games left. I think it's a sure thing. He's going to get to 1,000 yards, but he's also 633 yards receiving. There's a very good chance this guy's going to go 1,000 if he has a big game. I don't think it'll happen, but I don't know. He's trending in the right place. All he needs is that one huge receiving game and just continue on. Which begs the question: who's coming out of the West? for the MOP. I know this wasn't on our itinerary, but I know the odds on right now are Nathan Rourke. He's had a fantastic season, but we've got to give it to Justin Rankin, do we not?
Yeah, I do. I think they absolutely would give it to him. Like, I mean, I suppose if you asked me to go through, I could make a case for everyone, but
No, we don't want
I
that.
don't think I could
That's
make
too
a
much
case
of a
against him
show.
either.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, like, if you told me you wanted to make a case for that, it's like, I don't think I can make a case against him. I'd probably just add on to why I would agree.
No. That's Tony just agrees with Dalts whenever. That's the sign that he wants this show to be over with. It's like, whatever, Dalts, I agree. All right, let's we should have prefaced this by saying that this is going to be a relatively short show. Obviously, we are kind of nearing down to the end of the week, closer. So we have lives. Both of us have to get up early in the morning. But before we get to the next week's preview, let's get to Irv on. Let's see if Irv can improve on his previous one.
Rouge Radio Podcast is partnered with the good people over at Sports Interaction. Go to SIA.com/Rouge. Your first deposit will be matched up to 100%. And as always, Tony and Dalts advise you to please play and gamble responsibly. Gentlemen?
Yes, as the next week opens up in Saskatchewan, Toronto goes into Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is resting some people, a lot of people, and they're all on the defensive side. But on the other side, Toronto is resting Whit McManus and Nick Arbuckle. So it looks like Jarrett Daggy will have the reins for the Toronto Argonauts. I've liked what Daggy has brought to the table, but before we get to my prediction, Tony, where do you see this one going?
I think I still picked it in favor of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I think last weekend, I believe, was the one we talked about what team we could see getting in as a surprise, and I kind of made my basis, my joke. The basis of my joke was because I could see Toronto doing it because they never were supposed to be a team that's good enough, and they always seem to be good enough. But I don't know. I don't know if I see it in this year's Argonauts team. I mean, if Saskatchewan is kind of putting the brakes in, coasting into the playoffs, if you will, I mean, there's no doubt. I think Saskatchewan wins the West with only a couple weeks left, but I think just as being a better team, I still want to take the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Probably a bigger score than it should be, but 32-17. I'm going to take the Riders.
Yeah, Saskatchewan's favored by 10.5. The over-under set at 50.5. I like what you say here. Obviously, Toronto is in next year country right now. It's official. But, generally in that kind of situation on the road, you've got a team that probably doesn't really care. And I use that in a complimentary factor. I'm not saying that they don't care, like they're just playing for their paychecks. Like, they honestly don't care right now because if they win, great. It's too little, too late. If they lose, it's as expected. So I think this is going to be a game from Toronto that is literally just going to be where they just don't know that they're supposed to lose, possibly. Saskatchewan's offense has been trending the wrong way. If it had not been for that pick six, and let's give credit to where it's due. A.J. Ouellette doesn't have that 80-yard dash back for a tackle to prevent that touchdown. We could be talking about Saskatchewan 3-game losing streak. We really could. I think Saskatchewan's defense is just enough to really just stop any kind of momentum that Toronto may or may not have tomorrow night. But definitely pick the under in this one. I do have Saskatchewan winning this one in a very low scoring affair. I have it like 20-15. Give Toronto to cover the spread. This will be a heavily defensive battle just because I like Toronto's defense when it comes to Saskatchewan's offense. But Toronto's offense is just not really going to do that much against Saskatchewan's defense. 20-15, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The next day, it will be the Calgary Stampeders in Hamilton to play the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The Tiger Cats are favored by 3.5, and the over-under is at 46.5. Tony, I know that you're a hardcore Calgary Stampeders fan. I'm not willing to put too much into that third quarter or early fourth quarter, and I'm using air quotes here, comeback against the BC Lions. I think that is kind of like more BC taking the foot off the pedal and, the generic garbage time type production that a lot of teams put up with. I think Calgary is not in a lot of trouble, but I think they're in desperation mode. And whereas right now, Hamilton, they need to be aware of the Montreal Alouettes who are hosting Ottawa. We'll talk more about that in a bit. But I think Hamilton is going to be playing even more desperation mode. I think you're going to see defense suspect here. It's going to be optional. It's going to be a shootout. But at the end of the day, I say Hamilton covers the spread and take the over. Hamilton wins 35-30 over the Calgary Stampeders. Where you got this one?
I see this one going as more misery for Calgary Stampeders fans. And I kind of thought I was going along the same line as you when you're saying not putting much into that third quarter. But I'm just going, it's like I'm not seeing the Stampeders going much farther ahead or taking a step ahead. I think we're seeing, I don't know if it's the Calgary Stampeders hitting a wall, if we're seeing them being exposed from an exciting first quarter of the season or first third of the season. And I mean, social media is what it is. But occasionally, if you get someone that's still relatively sane, it's like some points can be logical. And I'm not saying you can see the CFL or the Stampeders fans turning on Vernon Adams Jr., but there's a lot of, should we look somewhere? Is it worse? Is it the worst if we give somebody else a look at quarterback than Vernon Adams Jr.? And I'm not saying, and that's not me turning on Vernon Adams Jr., but I mean, it's tough to see this Calgary Stampeders during this skid doing something significant to turn it around against a team like the Hamilton Tiger Cats right now, which I would have faith in them. I'm not saying Hamilton is world beaters or my favorite to pick the Grey Cup, but just trending wise, talent wise, I'm going to take the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I'm taking the Hamilton Tiger Cats in this one. And I think this one's going to be ugly. And I think a big score, 40-17, the Tiger Cats are going to win this one, as just a trip out east is not what the Calgary Stampeders need right now.
All right. We're trending the same way so far. The second half of the doubleheader, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are in Edmonton to face the Elks. Obviously, the Elks and the Bombers fresh off a big win. Winnipeg's win over Hamilton 2 weeks ago, 40-3 over the Tiger Cats. And of course, the Elks 27-25 win over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We just talked about Justin Rankin. The Bombers are favored by 3.5. The over-under is set at 55, or the 53.5. The Bombers potentially could be without their version of Justin Rankin, which is Nick Dembski, who, for all intents and purposes, looks like that it's possibly a future Dembski in the works right now. It looks like his wife could be either has gone into labor or will be going into labor sometime in the next couple of days. So it will be all eyes on that. But on this one, Dembski out. Carrick Wheatfall seems to be drawing back in. He seems to be healthy. And that offense, with or without Dembski, as we saw a couple of weeks ago, could be a turning point. But we've seen this with Winnipeg this year, where Winnipeg has won 3 in a row. Their offense looks okay, and then their defense is kind of like sputtering along and figuring out and then they just go into a tailspin for 3 games. They figure out for 2 games, tailspin for 2. Win 1, and it's like a topsy-turvy. So this could Winnipeg win their 3rd game in a row, but at the same time, I like their defense. Their defense, the first half of the year, I was like, look at this team. Like, they're giving up explosive play after explosive play. Now you look at it, they didn't allow a touchdown at all. They only allowed 3 points to Hamilton 2 weeks ago. They allowed 18 points. 7 of those points were a garbage time touchdown to the Ottawa Redblacks, where their starting quarterback that game only threw for 54 yards, right? I mean, their defense is kind of figuring it out. So I think at this point, if it's a defensive battle, I like the experience in Winnipeg. I really do. But I've been advised by certain Winnipeg fans to pick against the Bombers. They like that they had more success when they did so. So, in giving in to peer pressure, I am going to pick the Edmonton Elks to cover the 3.5 spread, but still take the under in this one. It is very likely that Edmonton comes out with this one very close to fourth spot in the Western Division behind Winnipeg, but they win 20-18. Tony, where do you see this one going?
Almost exactly the same way you did. You just have a less score than me. I still have a close one, and I still have the Elks winning this one. I think the Bombers have more to lose than the Elks do, and I think that puts an exponentially larger amount of pressure on Winnipeg than it does the Elks. Because if the Elks lose, who cares? They're the Elks, and we don't expect them to win anyways. And the Bombers, well, they've got a legacy on the line, whether you want to call it a legacy or a dynasty or whatever. They still have a pretty amazing history of the last half decade. And I mean, the worst, I won't go off on Winnipeg being smoke and mirrors or anything. Like, I think it's just been a much more inconsistent Bombers team. It's nothing where I believe, I'm not going to take it more than just inconsistency, like highs and lows. Sometimes they win, sometimes you can't get a steady team out of this Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now, I'm not against them as much as you are, that you've resorted to hanging your flag upside down in embarrassment. But
is it? Oh my God! I just realized that.
So it's like I'm definitely not anti-Bombers as you are. Like, we don't need to. We're not under duress or anything. Like, don't save. Like, it's nothing like that. But that I'm willing to hang flags upside down in protest of how bad they are. But I do I still have, for some reason, I just have an inconsistent Bombers team stumbling against the Elks. And I've taken it very close to 26-25. And I think if your upsets would be Calgary, Toronto, Edmonton, I would probably say Edmonton is the most likely to upset a team that would be perceived to be better. Again, I don't remember who the favor is based on the line you just said, but I would still pick the Elks.
Yeah, the Bombers are favored 3.5, and it is should be noted that if Winnipeg does win, they clinch the playoffs, the postseason. Yeah, that is one thing, because they just, and I think it would eliminate the Edmonton Elks at that point. So Edmonton does need to win this one. Last game of the week, Thanksgiving afternoon, Thanksgiving Monday, the true Thanksgiving, not that fourth Thursday in November. The Ottawa Redblacks are in Montreal. Alouettes are favored by 13.5 points. Over under set at 51.5. I just want to go through. Yeah. If you take the money line over Montreal, a $10 bet pays out $11. So I don't know. If you want to go conservative, that might be the way to go. Davis Alexander has been playing phenomenal since he's come back. It's only been one game, but that Montreal team looked very superbly confident. Ottawa obviously has been eliminated. They are ending the season with Drew Brown on the bench, taking a look at their quarterback room there. But I don't think it really matters if Drew Brown was playing in this one. Montreal is just too good in this one, and they're only going to get healthier and better at this point. I take Montreal covering the spread, and you mentioned a rout between Hamilton and Calgary. This is the game. I think Montreal is going to have a lot of turkey over the Ottawa Redblacks. Montreal hangs a 50 burger on Ottawa. 50-11 over the Ottawa Redblacks. Take the over. Montreal covers, wins straight up, Where do you got this one going?
Same route. This one doesn't need a analyzing, much less over analyzing. I have Montreal 32-7.
Okay, well, at least you go a little bit more conservative on that one. So we all agree. We all have, or we both have Saskatchewan. We both have Hamilton, Edmonton, and the Montreal Alouettes. So if you're a betting person, shove those picks into a 4-leg parlay and win some money. Yeah, that might be a good thing good thing for me to do. That'll wrap it up for 300, episode 430. Wait, what episode it is? Anyway, that'll wrap it up for this week's episode. You can follow us on X / Blue Sky at Rouge Radio, myself at Rouge Dalts, Tony at Tony Rouge. Of course, go and like us and rate us on any podcast application that you have. TuneIn, Spotify, Apple, you name it, we're on it. And of course, we're also available on YouTube, TikTok at Rouge Radio Pod. Continuing putting out those contents on there and getting a lot of people feedback for power rankings and videos. Have you joined TikTok, Tony?
No, I've actually have decreased my social media to the point where it's just Facebook periodically. I used the thing I used to love and thrive off of the most. I'm just kind of fading away. The world is just too ugly to be on them right now. I can't handle it.
And you settled with Facebook of all things? Like I get getting rid of social media, but Facebook seems to be the one thing that just kind of like I can't go on there anymore. I'm going on there and I'm seeing advertisements for something I don't follow. Like, how the frick do I do that?
Maybe that's why I like it. I'm not seeing it. It's a ghost town, but it still feels like I'm posting to people, which I know I'm not. But at least it feels like I can still express myself and I don't have to worry because, there's not a lot of traffic. You don't get bombarded with the over opinionation of everything, and it gets
unless you go into like groups.
A little bit rough. The last year on Twitter kind of really crushed my spirit a little bit, and I tried going over to the Blue Sky. I go over there every now and then. Maybe we'll see, but
I noticed the CFL family did not move over to Blue Sky as much as I think a lot of people did, but a lot of the hockey people did. So I was bluing enough today during the Jets game today. So that was nice. Anyway, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, just 3 weeks.
Just
it feels
get
like
the
this
heck out of here.
Tough slug 3 weeks.
Yeah,
because it feels like the East is decided, and I don't think it's going to give us any surprises. I think the Rough Riders are just going to. The rest of the West is going to run out of games to catch the Rough Riders. I feel. I'm ready to give them the West Division final right now. I think we're just with 3 left. They'll just run them out of games now. I don't think you're catching them, and I mean it's just that middle 3 there that you need to figure out. So. I mean, as much as I'd like to hype up the league, it's one I love doing on this. But this one, 3 weeks, I think it's going to be a tough slug to find a lot of storylines to latch. I mean, don't get me wrong. The seeding going into playoffs is going to be fun. You're going to want to be as high as you want. But I just feel like Calgary is going to drop down to the lower tiers. BC, Winnipeg will move up. Edmonton might make it interesting. I think that might be the most interesting thing if Edmonton pulls off the wins they need. We have an interesting race there, but just get to the playoffs, and I think things are going to be a lot better once the games get really crazy in the playoffs.
Yeah, and check this out. Calgary loses to Hamilton, which we all predict that they will. Winnipeg beats Edmonton. Boom! Winnipeg sits very comfortable in second place because they have the tiebreaker over BC. And if Calgary wins and Winnipeg wins, man, there's that 3-way tiebreaker, which is kind of like, that Zach Galifianakis math thing. That's, that's just, it's a convoluted thing, which I think maybe Calgary ends up winning that tiebreaker at that point. And it's just surreal. So it is the games some games mean less, but man, there's going to be some games that mean a heck of a lot that are going to have some interesting storylines, to say the least, going into the next week. Well, that'll
just see if Dalts hangs his flag, if Winnipeg does well enough for Dalts to hang his flag back up. They're not surrendering anymore.
Well, I didn't know it was upside down. So if they suck next week, we might actually not have a flag to hang up. To be honest with you.
For the M. Hashtag for the M.
Wait, it's not like this in America. It's
the next time I do a gang sign.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, West Side. All right, well that'll wrap it up for this week. For Tony, I'm Dalts. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.